Hi guys, this is Vinita Datta.
Hey guys.
Rohan Agarwal.
What's my name?
Rohan. Okay, so I was thinking, Rohan, that I'm a young adult. I invest.
Don't flatter yourself.
So what if I'm there? I'm still young on paper. So you know what that made me actually think that there are life stages
Sure.
in which one can invest.
Sure.
And there are times when I have that regret that I didn't start young.
Sure.
Having said that, I feel that there are certain life stages and certain types of requirements in terms of investment
Sure.
and certain things that people should do. In my mind, I think it's like there can be students, that can be young adults who
Sure.
just started working
Sure.
and are really enjoying their life. There
Sure.
are married people with suddenly an influx of responsibilities.
Sure.
Then there are pre-retirement. Okay, these are the people who are like really chiller in life, have done all their responsibilities, and have nothing to do but to work and wait for their retirement. And then, of course, there's retirement.
Vinita, you make it sound pretty depressing. Wait and work for your retirement.
Yeah, well, you can make money while
Sure.
you're at it.
Sure, sure.
But obviously, as we always say, that it's important to invest your money and invest in the right way. So, you know what? I actually want you to tell people about these different life stages and what exactly should be the investment strategy that you take at all these stages of your life.
Sure, yeah, I think investing is very typical in that nature. That investing is never just a one-time thing. Like
Exactly.
managing your money is something you do all throughout your life. So you better get good at it.
Exactly.
And B, also it's not constant. The way you invest changes sometimes dramatically throughout your life. So the way you would invest, say when you just got out of college, would be so different than say when you're 50 years
50s.
old and like you said, working for retirement. But yeah, it'll be good to kind of talk about how investing styles change. And having said that, age is one of the biggest factors in what your investment should be, because age is connected to the time horizon of your investment. So why is age important? Because basically a lot of your investing decisions is based on how long do you need your money after, which is one of the biggest thing, and also how much risk you can take. So that's why typically younger people can need the money typically after a while, and older people need it sooner because they might be closer to retirement. So I'll go through different age groups, but I also have a couple of contrarian views on what is the most like widely held opinion about people investing when they're in different age groups. So the first age group we can talk about is people who've just gotten out of college.
Right.
And I mean, when I was 19 or 20, I definitely didn't think about investing till at least a bit ago. But if someone who is right out of college, start early, start investing even say
Seriously.
$500 a month.
Before you start regretting it.
Yeah. Or yeah, when you're a young adult. But I think it's great that you start early. So anyone who's just out of college watching this, I think if you can start early. A lot of people say when you're extremely young, you should invest all of your money in equity, which is the stock market. Yeah. I actually have a different viewpoint on it. Is I feel anyone who first starts investing, sometimes it's also better that they start into something called fixed income. So these are debt funds, like we talk about a lot, where the returns are predictable and they don't go up and down. And the reason for that is if when you first start investing, and say if you see a 10% fall in your portfolio, 15% fall in your portfolio, you might actually get so scared by it that you would just
not
invest further more, in which would be horrible to do.
Exactly.
So my opinion would be if maybe start off with a balanced portfolio where you're doing fixed income and equity, or even complete fixed income.
Correct.
Just to start out with it, get used to the habit of setting aside money, and you'll also not get scared by it because your money won't ever fall significantly. It'll constantly growing, and as in when you get more comfortable, you can start investing more and more into equity. So yeah, that's my contrarian view on very young people, or people who are starting to invest for the first time. The second kind of life situation we can look at is someone who's in their mid 20s or early 20s, who's worked for a few years, EMIs khatam, abhi savings account mein deposit हो रहा है, your parents are telling you, "अरे इतना पैसा क्यों रख के रखा है? Invest."
Exactly, put it somewhere.
Yeah, so that's the time when if you have already invested a little bit or if you know about investing, is something where you should put a lot of your money into equity, because
Right.
basically the money that you're earning right now, you'll probably require it after a while.
After
So
a while.
I'm assuming if you're early 20s, you're probably single or you're
Yeah.
not married yet.
Yeah.
So you probably live, at, like, your rent's not that high, or you live with your parents.
Yeah.
So your expenses are not that high when you're
Exactly.
earning and you have money. So you put a predominant amount of money in equity.
Equity, exactly.
But the day you start getting older, when you reach your 30s and when you're married, I think a lot of your life situations change, where
Exactly.
now you have, actual goals. So basically, say if you have a kid, you would have
Yeah.
to save for his education,
Exactly.
maybe for their marriage, maybe for buying a house or a
House,
car. So when you're in your late 20s and early 30s, goal-based investing matters a lot.
Exactly.
I think, and it is important that you specifically earmark money that you're investing for certain goals.
Exactly.
Just makes you more likely to stay on track. And so, on Moneyjar, that is one of our biggest, cornerstones of how we want people to invest. Create different jars for different goals. So even if you don't have a goal, your goal would be, like earning returns on your investment. So always ensure in your head that you have a reason for why you are investing. So at that point of time in your early 30s, you want to invest goal based, and the where you invest depends on how far your goal is. So say, is it 2 years down the line, or is it 10 years down the line, and how critical the goal is. So theoretically you're able to take more risk for goals that are not really critical in nature. Say if you're saving for a vacations 3 years down the line, you may be able to take on more risk as compared to, say, if you need a down payment for a house in 2 years. Like whatever's critical, you take less risk. So that's how you invest in your 30s and 40s. I feel, goal based and knowing when you need money for your requirements. But that also changes when you're in your 50s. This is the time when, like, your kids taken care of, whatever your worldly responsibilities are done. Those are done. You're probably looking at cruise vacations.
Exactly, you can plan a world tour now.
Yeah. So I think for people in their 50s who have, say, like 10 years to go for their retirement, again, I have a contrarian view. So a lot of people suggest that if you're closer to retirement, for only 10 years away, that you should only invest in safe funds. Retirement done. What I feel is, when you're, say, 45, 50, when you've taken care of all your family obligations, you're also probably earning a decent amount of money because you've been working for a while, and you still have, a decade to go for retirement. And even at retirement, you wouldn't need all the money right away. Like, it would be in a staggered manner throughout your retirement years. So I think you can actually take on more risk when you're older, when you don't have that many requirements. So because you also have time for your investments to grow in value.
That makes sense.
Sure. And I guess when you're retired, you should figure out a way to have regular income on a monthly basis. So with that, I will always suggest that never ever go for a dividend option on mutual funds. So a lot of people, think, "Yaar, dividend option है, tax-free income मेरे हाथ में आ रहा है." But the dividend option, whenever a mutual fund issues you dividend, they are actually paying a tax to the government, which is called dividend distribution tax, but they're doing it on their end, and that is cut from your returns only. So while you might be getting dividend and you might think it's tax free, there is a tax on it, and that is being paid by the mutual fund. So my suggestion, if you do need monthly income, would be to do something called a systematic withdrawal plan, where you actually redeeming that many units rather than actually getting a dividend. Yeah, so that's one mistake that a lot of people make, and I think it's good if they are able to prevent that.
Exactly. So guys, basically what we want to say is that, be mindful of your life situations and always make sure you have an investment basis what stage of life you're in, so that, at any point or any given, juncture in life, you're always a planned investor and you're always wise with your money.
You're the boss of your money.
That's us signing off. Have a good day, guys.
Bye, guys.